First of all, I just want to thank the media for coming out. Um, the Barbados Labour Party will be going most Thursdays. I'm not saying everyone because there may be a reason why we can't, but most Thursdays we're going to use the opportunity to be able to move through every corner, every nook and cranny, so to speak, to rub shoulders. And the program is entitled Rubbing Shoulders. And it will allow us to see firsthand the operations and experiences and concerns. First of the productive sectors, namely we started today with the sugar industry, and I'm going to come to that very shortly, but we're going to do it across every sector, and we're going to do it not only economic but also social as well, because the only way we can understand truly where and what we find ourselves in Barbados going through at this very particular time is by going to the people. And we're going to rub shoulders with the people across every part of Barbados to be able to hear firsthand. This is not a contentious issue, this is an issue of learning. And it's learning for me because I want to be able to hear myself along, obviously, with the relevant people. Today, Glenn Clark and Trevor Prescott are with me. As you know, Glenn shadows tourism, agriculture, and Trevor also deals with the housing because there's the dichotomy between agricultural land and housing in Barbados, and we need to get the right balance. There's also the dichotomy between agriculture and the whole issue of duties and tariffs and the loss of jobs for a lot of the retailers who have now had the unfortunate affliction of 184% on them in relation to chicken products in circumstances where I'm told that there are only one or two products that are in fact produced locally, and hence the range of the impact of the 184% is too wide, will lead to a loss of jobs, and at the same time is not necessarily protecting aspects of local production beyond chicken nuggets. And this is a concern from restaurateurs, as you know, as well as to wholesalers who wholesale to other parts of the market and to the normal consumer who may want to buy those products in the supermarket. And 184% seems excessive, whatever the reason. What struck me, and I've seen the letter, is that this was done by the government the Thursday before elections. Now, it would seem to me to be a very special place in your head to, on the Thursday before elections, to inflict that kind of cost of living pain and potential job losses on the people of Barbados. There must be a better way for us to protect the chicken producers while at the same time not sacrificing jobs in the other sectors. But let me come to the issue of sugar. I started today with sugar because in a very real sense, Barbados' production structure as a modern society started with sugar. And Barbados, for centuries, was known as the premier producer of sugar in the entire world, not in the Caribbean. Sugar has implications also for rum. And rum is one of our biggest exports still, 75 to 80 million dollars a year to the rest of the world as a manufactured good, with the potential to be 5, 6 times that capacity, quite frankly. I felt that it was important to hear from the farmers because we were aware that there are serious decisions about to be made by a number of independent farmers who have said that if they don't get the issue of price support settled with the government, they are not going to be planting anymore. And what are the implications of that? When you come out of chickens production, you can get back in and get broilers within five weeks. You can get pigs within 6 months. When you come out of sugar, you can't get money from sugar production for 3 years, if at all. And therefore, the implications of farms, Fisherpond, where we are, has already indicated they came out last year of planting. There are other plantations that are saying that by the end of May, they also will come out. And in fairness to the Ministry of Agriculture, I understand that they've been making calls, but at the end of the day, the Ministry of Agriculture cannot be excused if the Ministry of Finance will not deliver. The Minister of Finance last year promised the industry $9 million. Only $2 million of that has been delivered thus far. And agriculture is something that you can't give me money down the line to do what I need to do today. If I need to apply fertilizer today, it is because of the timing of when I have to do it. So it is time sensitive. And therefore, this is an appeal to the government to do that which is necessary, because the demise of the sugar industry has far wider implications. To start with, the independent farmers produce about 60% of the cane in the country, the BAMC, the other 40%. If the independent farmers drop out, that's less sugar produced. Secondly, the independent farmers produce cane at half the price of BAMC is producing it today. So the independent farmers are producing the very same cane at $110 to $120 a ton. BAMC produces it at about $240, $250 a ton. BAMC gets about $70 million a year. And the independent farmers, when they sell the cane, get $45 a ton against $110 in costs. Now, they may get, after the accounts are done, another $9 or $10, 54, 55 it comes up to. That is still a loss of almost 50% of what it costs them to do. Now, I recognize that this is a systemic problem. I recognize that both governments in the past have not dealt with it, but that does not excuse those of us who stand here today from dealing with this issue with certainty. The fundamental problem is the price that we get for sugar. And if we continue to sell sugar as a bulk commodity, we will continue always to have to function with this kind of subservient thing. And there's serious conditions for the workers because of the inability of the companies and farmers to do better. And it's not because the people don't want to do better. It's because they're also not getting the money to do better. These workers around here, and I want to thank the management for facilitating the discussions with the workers, not only here, but at Applewitz where we're going and at Friendship. But these workers here are basically working 4 days, sometimes 3 days a week. And it is because of the difficulties. There are other improvements that they would like to see. And this is the point when I say I'm not only relying on government. The women have expressed here, and at Applewitz, for example, that they may have to get their own umbrellas because things are so tight with costs. And I want to thank Digicel, who have responded swiftly today and have agreed to provide umbrellas to all of the workers in the sugar industry so that the sun and the rain will not affect the workers as necessary. Similarly, they have expressed concerns, particularly the women. If you are in a field like this, Peter, and a woman wants to use a call of nature comes upon them, what are they going to do? The canes ain't even tall. And therefore, we want to work with the independent farmers to see how best we can at least have one chemical toilet deployed to be able to improve the conditions under which these women are working. I wouldn't know what it is to have to hold water for 3, 4 hours or 5 hours. And I don't think any of us who work in a place in town would want to do that. The other major issue is the question of equal pay. I confess to not realizing it before, and I now have to speak to it until it is resolved, because I didn't have that level of intimacy, and I confess to that. But women earn 64 per day, and the men earn 66 and change. So that the issue of equal pay for the same job has to become a legitimate issue, and I hope that it will be a non-contentious issue that across the sector, BAMC and the independent farmers will address as a matter of urgency. The more fundamental point for both women and men is that all of these workers, women and men, have not had a raise in pay for 5 years. But yet the prices in Barbados have gone up by 33%. So you're working for the same $64, but the prices effectively have gone up. If you were to take a third of that, by $20-something extra. So what $64 could buy you 5 years ago, you effectively need $80-something to buy today, and they're not getting it. And these are the issues that are of concern. There's some other fundamental issues that we need to address. The issue of pre-deal larceny. All of the farmers and the workers, and when we go to Applewitz, there's a lady who will speak to you, are adamant that when you steal crop, when you steal livestock, when you steal from the farmers, that you're effectively taking away work from these people who are paid by the day. Because if there's less to reap, is less work and less pay. And therefore, they have their own special story to tell on why we must deal with pre-deal larceny. I have committed today to some of the farmers to look at the issue to see how best, whether through private members' legislation or working with the government, we can seek to move either a resolution or an amendment itself to urgently increase the penalties for pre-deal larceny, because And this is and the stories are that it is more organized pre-deal larceny than anything else. But that if you can get a higher penalty for stealing a dog than for stealing the work and labor and output of people, then something is fundamentally wrong. And I think we need to send that message. We want to be able to say to the Commissioner of Police and the Royal Barbados Police Force, I know that there's been talk about rapid response unit, but you really need 2 or 3 undercover people, because I challenge each of us here. If we spend enough time on the ground and enough of the villages, we can know who carrying away the crop. And within 2 days, we can know who carrying away the crop. All of us. And therefore, because of how hard things in Barbados are, the only way people are going to survive is by increasing the level of farming, backyard farming. People laughed at Mr. Arthur a couple of years ago, but even I doing a little bit of backyard farming, growing little pumpkins, growing little peppers, growing different things, because people are going to more and more have to rely on themselves. And all of us standing up here know. I remember growing up, both of my grandparents, enough things growing in the yard, and then from rabbits to chickens to pigs. Okay? And all of us know the experience. All of us know about little children carrying out the sheep. All of us know it. And things are going to get harder because, regrettably, the trajectory, the direction of the economy, as I said on Tuesday, is not getting better, but it is getting worse. And I'm not trying to prey on anything, but I want people to prepare themselves. Don't only rely on government. Some of you may lose your jobs. Let us help make sure that we can at least feed ourselves during these difficult times. And I want to formally call on government that I believe that there is too much idle land also under the ownership of government, or promised to be under the ownership of government, like Waterford Plantation. The botanical gardens are to go there. If until government resolves itself to do the whole of that project, I would like to see 10 acres come off into quarter-acre lots so that people from St. Michael can have access to farming. Government will need to be able to put in a little irrigation, particularly for the vegetable crops. But there are crops like beans and okras and things that are 6-week crops. Then you got the 3-month crops. Then you got the 6-month crops. 3-month crops like sweet potatoes, and the 6-month crops like yams, etc. Give the people a chance who are not working. And I'm not suggesting any other criteria other than the fact that first, those people where nobody in the house is working should be given access to a peppercorn lease for a quarter-acre. Give them the irrigation, give them the slips or the seeds or whatever it is for the particular thing that they're planting, and let them at least be able to feed themselves. And that, in conjunction with the police doing some undercover work, and the hotline that we were told is there, I don't know if it is functioning or not, in conjunction then also with getting the bigger picture of large food crop. There are some plantations, for example, I'm told, and this is the critical importance of sugar, that are literally having to go back. 1 or 2 who are big into sweet potato and yam production, sweet potato in particular, have said that, look, we may have to go back into cane, not because we can make any money from it, but because of the declining yield that we're getting from our sweet potato crop because of the lack of rotation. Sugar industry, cane industry in Barbados is critical, apart from the welfare of these workers, 2,500, and if it closes, that's 10,000 people, because each one of these, you can say, you have 3 or 4 people depending on them. So apart from the loss of jobs there is the issue of the impact that it will have on vegetable production. There's the issue of the impact that it will have on soil erosion, because when cane is in the field, you don't see the soil running into the road when the rain falls, because the cane is a grass that binds the soil and has its own root system underneath there. In addition to that, it helps then with the yield, as I said, with root crops, because it allows the soil to allow air to pass through quicker, and that combined with the trash leads to a root system that keeps the soil strong. And then ecologically, the tourists that driving past here going to the East Coast don't want to see a country overrun by bush and river tamarind. At least there's a bucolic elegance about cane, you understand? And there's a pastoral feel that you're coming through a countryside. So for tourism, it also is the biggest boost. So for every single reason, we need to take stock and deal with what may well become the demise of an industry that was with us, not quite at the beginning, but almost at the beginning, because we went to cotton and tobacco first. But within 10 years, people understood that cane was the crop for Barbados and this soil.
You saying, Ms. Mottley, this year, for example, we are having are struggling to get 18,000 tons in terms of
18,000.
sugar.
That's
If
right.
we don't get the support promised from government that we could fall even further under that production, given that some of the farmers are coming out of production.
And that's the point. And once people come out of production, you're going to produce less and less cane. And we feel strongly that something has to be done. I've just gotten information, for example, as to the price for sugar. Go into any hotel in Barbados, and the people supply the sugar, 1,000 sachets for $111.63. 15 kilograms of brown sugar for $69.13. We need to sell sugar where it fetches its greatest price. I ask every one of these women here, because sugar is one of the few things still under price control. But I want us as a people, we may keep the price control, but we're going to lose 25 to 100 jobs and 10,000. Sugar should be sold where it gets its highest price. And because we value Barbados sugar, Barbados is one of the best places to sell Barbados sugar. And I've asked all these ladies here, don't ask me, would you buy Barbados sugar and be able to keep your jobs even if it means you're paying a little more for the sugar than otherwise? And all of them have said yes. Because everybody knows that our sugar is a premium. But apart from the local market, I've been told, for example, sugar is full of vitamin D. I've been told that the Arabs have certain deficiencies and may be specifically interested in our brown sugar. And the truth is that there are specialized markets that I'm still not convinced that while we've started it, that we've worked hard enough to be able to reposition the industry from a bulk producer to a specialized producer, both for the local market and the export markets. But with a brand, all of us will go and buy sneakers. A man might buy a $30 one, a $50 one, a $100 one, a $300 one, and a $500 one. Sorry, all got soles, all got topper, all got some got laces. But everybody paying a different price because of the uniqueness of the brand. And that is the fundamental point. And because Barbados has that name, has that cachet globally, for our sugar, for our rum, it will require, yes, an extraordinary effort, but it is an extraordinary effort that is critical. And because of the fact that so many are now threatening, and I think the threat is really as a result of the fact that, look, you promised 9 million last year. 9, 10 months later, we get 2. What do you expect us to do? There are people who planted even still last year but have not been able to fertilize for the last 2, 3 years because even with what level of price support they've gotten, it's not been sufficient. There are the ladies here who have concerns about some of the conditions under which they work. It's in that the farmers don't want to help them. But at the end of the day, it takes money and it takes cash to care. And I am satisfied. I mean, the Minister of Agriculture has spoken forcefully. But if he's not speaking forcefully enough, then to the Minister of Finance, something else has to give. Because we cannot allow the sugar industry in Barbados to fall under. The question is, I'm also told that Barbados Farms as an entity too is also under serious stress. And that they too are losing. They're a public company. Look at the numbers. I think the number for this year, the last number that they lost was $2 million. So we have to have a serious position. And I am not getting into which party in the past, because both parties have done good and both parties have done nonsense. But the future of here is what I'm concerned about. And if we didn't try hard enough before, we need to try hard enough now.
Do you think look into the future in terms of the sugar sector?
These gentlemen have come late, and I hope they get the full context of what we're saying rather than taking out at the last. And I'm going to ask, therefore,
But that's what we
formally.
will do something.
Hold on,
separate
I'm
video
going to
after.
ask. No. I can't promise because I ain't eat for you, dear. I can't promise to repeat everything. And Peter Vitale has spoken for about 25 minutes already. So I want to beg a favor formally. Don't mind them as your competitor. Another time you might come late and I can beg he and remind Mike King. You understand? So can you share the file with him? The Lord bless you.
Do you believe we are, or the possibility of going out to a single factory option could be in jeopardy? Or
If it is in jeopardy, then it would be a criminal act. Because one of the things we said was that, look, we need a factory to be able to allow us to keep the production. You understand? And there's no doubt that we need to be able to modernize and that we need a new factory. We left those plans on the table. Regrettably, the government, when it came in 2008, did not start it. It was to commence construction in 2008. They shelved it. Mercifully, I think the Minister of Agriculture now recognizes that there is a need for it. We don't know the details of the plan. We await those. But we know that Barbados must have a sugar industry, and it's for all kinds of reasons, Peter, all kinds of reasons. And the public education must proceed on that in the same way that the public education is critical for the pre-deal larceny. And when we go to Applewitz now, and we need to go there now because the women waiting on us, you will find out, and I got to stop to get some drinks for them, you will find out that at the end of the day, that it is not just the owners who are concerned about pre-deal larceny, but the workers, because the more you steal from the ground, the less work for the workers to get because they're paid by the day. And the equal pay issue is one you need to focus on because women in the industry are earning less than men for the same job. Can't continue.
My final question, and I know that I don't know if they've told you this, but my mother used to work in the sugar sector also. She was a sugar worker, St. George man. And what I found very strange as a young boy growing up is that when these workers retired, apart from getting something from
nothing else happens. And that is something that
nothing else at all.
And that is something that is something that I've pledged to work on because it can't be fair that these are the people who help build the sugar industry. It is the product for which we have global preeminence. It is a product that leads to rum for which we equally have global preeminence. And we're going to have to address that issue in terms of them retiring with nothing else other than the normal national insurance pension. And the Labour Party will pledge to do that. I'm going to get the numbers. I don't speak in advance of getting the policy that I know that we can stick to. And I've given them the commitment that we're going to look at all the numbers and see what can be done for them as a matter of urgency and recommend to government. Similarly, we've also said, I mean, you have come late, that the issue of them being able to respond to calls of nature, can't even tell what are they going to do. And therefore, we want to work with the independent farmers in particular. When we were the government, I think BAMC had tried it. I don't know if they still use it. But you need at least one chemical toilet, at least in the field in which they're working, so that they can still walk within eyesight to that. And similarly, which we have been, and we see how them run and get umbrella. Look, the only body who got umbrella out here. Granted, it's for the camera, but the camera is an inanimate object. These are human beings. And therefore, while we understand that things are tight with the plantations, we've made a call today to Digicel. They have responded and they will agree to provide the umbrellas for the women and men who work in the fields in the sugar industry, particularly for when the rain falls. And the first presentation, I think, of the first set of umbrellas will be next Tuesday, and you will be invited to that. But those are the small things. I'm not saying that government has to do everything. And if there are little things that we can do, because this is a program, Mike and Emmanuel, missed that again, that we're starting calling rubbing shoulders. And every Thursday we're going across Barbados, across different sectors, social and economic, to be able to hear from people, because it's only an understanding how people feel at this juncture where we are, what they think their opportunities are, what their hopes are, what the disappointments are, what the concerns are, from owners to workers, from clients to patients, everybody. It's only an understanding. We're going to try and do it most Thursdays. But as we rub shoulders, we will get a sense of where Barbados is, such that we can even be better in how we respond to the needs of the people as we go forward. And if there are small things that we can make happen along the way, we will make them happen. We're not standing on ceremony, because it's not about us, it's about the people in a particular sector and the country as a whole.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm very concerned that the agricultural workers are still not only the poorest sector within the country, but that they go home in the evening of their days with little or no money. I'm very concerned about this. For a long time I have been concerned that they do not get gratuity, they get a small pension. Many of them go home with inadequate housing, poor toilet facilities. They don't get any repair from government. This sector has provided tremendous help to this country. In fact, by 1966, it was said that the agriculture sector was creating a surplus that it was able to build the deep water harbor and the hospital. Therefore, at this juncture, the agriculture workers need to get more than 3 days per week or 4 days. Their pay should be increased because many of them are head of the household. They carry home less than $300 per week. Is totally inadequate when the cost of living has increased by over 30%. And therefore, I believe at this point and at this juncture that we need to look at the Providence Fund, which was a fund set up years ago I looked at it recently and found that it has a lot of money in national insurance, and how can it benefit the workers in the agricultural belt. I believe, as the leader has said, a lot has to be done to improve their lot in terms of their accommodation at work and so on. But it is concern to me that when they'll retire, like the lady here who will retire in a couple days' time, she will go home with little or no money. And that has been a concern to me for a long time, and it has to be addressed at this time.
Trev?
Well, let me say that most of us came here with no preconceived views about the dynamics in the agricultural industry. We all know, we all know the history of sugar, and from observation, when we pass, we see our sisters and our brothers working in the cane field. Um, we recognize that there were no toilet facilities in close proximity to them. When we came here today, we had a direct confirmation that that is still the same after all the centuries that has passed. We raised the issues with the plantation managers who we spoke to, and they have indicated an interest in providing those facilities. We also agreed that we will work along with them to ensure that this becomes a reality, because I've heard it spoke before, and hopefully on this occasion we will make it work. Um, we were concerned about the women toilet in the sun, and we know many women who came out of the fields over the years after enduring the sun. We saw them coming out even with humpback. Sometimes they can hardly walk. And Mia took it upon herself right away to make contact with some people who we think will be able to supply the umbrellas for. And Digicel responded favorably. We were also talking to them, and these views came from the bottom. We didn't come with them. They were also talking about when, on retirement, they walk out with nothing. And in many cases, they are single breadwinners in households of an average of no less than 4 persons. And you can just imagine what would be the social and economic ramifications on families who find themselves in those positions. Some of the other areas in relation to capital injections into the industry and the government shortfall in honoring these commitments, Amir spoke extensively on that. And that is a major problem, because since the plantation owners cannot get the amount that have been agreed upon by the government to allocate to them on an annual basis, they are unable to meet the demands of fertilizing, all the different types of methodologies that are required in the industry. Um, I heard the talk also about a new factory, but you can only have a new factory with modern and scientific technology being applied if you can meet the capacity of the new technology. And if the production is going down, you're bringing a new factory that wants more sugar, more cane in order to supply the required circuit. There's some contradiction in your understanding of what it is that you're doing. So I'm not an expert in the area of agriculture, but I have that deep passion for the concerns of the society in general and the poor people, especially those who work in the agriculture industry. And that's why I'm here, and I'm going to be on my feet, hitting the ground, down in the trenches, and doing all that I can do to transform the lives of these people.
Thank you. I just want to say a couple of things you didn't get. We are also appealing to you. The things are going to get rougher. The direction of the economy, regrettably, is in the wrong direction and not the right one. And we're also calling on people. I mean, people laughed at Mr. Arthur when he called for backyard farming, but the truth is more Barbadians need to do a little bit of their own farming. And we're using you as a vehicle to be able to say to the country, look, yes, we're going to hold government accountable, but we got to do what we got to do too to help ourselves. We need to help feed ourselves. I have started it, others have started it, and I want more people to start it. But that's why the pre-deal larceny becomes so critical too, because the organized pre-deal larceny has to be addressed. They've raised it. We're going to look at amendments to the legislation, whether we can do it through private members or whether we work through a resolution to call on government to do it urgently, because it can be a greater penalty for stealing a dog than stealing the output of a man's labor over 6 months. Or 3 months or whatever. Similarly, there are some issues that the government just has to confront. I mean, the production cost of BAMC being twice what it is with the independent farmers. Why not sit down with the independent farmers and see how best you can get those production costs of BAMC? Because ultimately it's the taxpayers who paying that additional money. And I'm told that there are unfortunate stories where, for example, 2 tractors down in a yard, 2 tractors of the same make. One need $10,000 in part, and another one need a certain amount of money. All you gotta do is take out the part from one of the tractors and put it in the other one while you can wait to fix the other one. So at least you get one tractor functioning. But those things are a little too basic for us not to be dealing with. And therefore, I'm asking, look, this is not a blame game now. I want us to forget the blame, look forward. Let us do the right thing as we go forward. And that's what rubbing shoulders is going to be about. Because he who is without sin cast the first stone.
Thank you.
To say no, I was in the plantation for years. I worked at Frogers, George River, and now here almost 30 years. And going home without anything is hard. It's a heartburn. And if you see me come up the hill on morning, with this leg here, you won't know where I'm going till I get on the plantation, sorry. Till I get on the plantation to get $1. And it's hard for you to go home without anything at all, only depending on national. That is not sweet, it's a heartburn. Water bill, light bill, every kind of bill, I have to go home and sit down to pay. And that is not nice. I need something. Something must be done. It is hard. I have a house to run.
How many years have you been working here?
I was working here now about 28. I can tell you, you wait on me. About 28, 29 years.
And how large is your household?
Here?
Well, I built a house lately here. It has 4 bedrooms. And I fight hard to get it. You know, I really fight to get that house because the one that I was in, it actually coming down. And I work hard to get it. You understand? And I need something going home to sit down on to get something to use because it's not good enough that I work here. Going all of these amount of years and going home just when on national with next skin or nothing. How I will survive? It is not nice.
You have a family of how many?
I have 2 children at me right now and a grandchild. You understood?
Have you all had an increase in the last 5 years now?
It could be longer. I feel longer. 5 years? Yeah. It is hard. I need some help. Don't mind that I was working for a long time because the money wasn't much. And you know, you got to put it here, there, and yonder. And that is not nice. I going home to anything at all.
So you have to support your household?
Yes. I have to support it.
I didn't get children in your name though.
Arminta Tate guys to St. Joseph. That where I live.
Arminta Tate.
Yes, please.
How old you are?
I am 67 years. And now I going home. I going home now. If I were working for money, I will have something. But it ain't nothing I working for to say, put something there. You understood? So I need now going home. I need going home with something because this ain't going on. I work here for all these years. And going home just to be on national. It is not fair to me. It's not fair.
Thank you.
33 years at $16 a day
When you start?
without nothing, without little money. Have my house to support, had to build a house of my own, only $16 a day. Some days I get 3 days, some days I get 4. I got bills to pay, water, light, goods to buy, send school my children at school, I had to buy gas and everything. And I need something to go home with now I can retire.
Where are you from?
I'm from Venture St. John.
And your name is?
My name is Doreen Lynn.
Who?
Doreen Lynn.
Or Doreen Lynn.
Yeah,
How much
so
longer you have before retirement?
I'm going to soon go home now,
When?
a couple of weeks from now.
How old you are?
How old
If you
now,
don't mind me
Doreen?
asking.
I'll be 70.
What? When? Is 70 later this year?
In June, if
Oh,
I
next month.
live.
You don't look like 70?
And you have how many children?
Me, I got 4 children, but I have 1 with me and grandchildren.
How many grandchildren?
I got, let me see, I got 4 grandchildren, 5, and a great grand. and one daughter home with me. And I got to survive that
Great
house.
grand. You gotta support that house.
Yes. And I worked here when I was for $16 a day for 33 years. From 1980, working on the days. 1980.
What work exactly do you do?
This agriculture. We weed. Yeah, laborers. Right, we result with laborers. We need money. I need something to go home with.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Let's go. Thank you, lady. Then we will go to afterwards. You all follow me. We're going to the field. Well, let me see. I got to teach you. You the trouble? I got to break up the people home. I got to teach you how to operate at home. CBC, for me, you got to teach me. You want to come with it? No, it's not.
You ain't gonna be long.
I feel like I'm going to break off on this.
See when we come here, they can show you the cowards from here. But the cowards, if you don't get the house in August, all the leaders.
You want to see it?
You ever see it?
I can see the pods, man.
They got the leaves, but the ground down cut. You ain't gonna see the pods. The pods gone down to the ground.
Yeah. It's right there.
There we go.
Come on, mate. Come start here, Peter.
You want to talk?
Start here.
Go ahead. Let me shake.
Just
Your name first.
my name is Candice Allen
Candice Allen. From where?
from Clifton Tenantry, St. Thomas. I just want to talk about the prettier larceny and the canes that cut in before the crop started, and things like when the men like the potatoes, the stealing of the potatoes, the planting of the potatoes, and even when the men go to steal a cane, sometimes we don't. It takes a lot out of take away a lot from our pocket. Like they will be in town selling the cane, and the crop hasn't started. You understand me? That is a loss for us. That's a loss for us. And we work in 4 days a week. And it's very hard because things are very hard right now. And having a family to support and having bills to pay. You understand me? And it's the minimum salary that we normally get. It's rough.
You get the same as men, or?
No, we don't get the same as men. We get less. But we do the same work.
Same volume of work.
Same volume of work. Same volume of work. And we're talking about
Tell them what you're doing today here.
right now we are digging out getting grass from between the cane. Sometimes it gets as tall, the guinea grass that we're digging out normally get as tall as us. The grass. Sometimes tall, and we have to be in the cane and just be real hot. And we still have to cope with it because we have a commitment to our family.
Outside. All right.
That's good.
How many years you been working?
I've been working here for 9 years.
How old are you?
I'm 39. I'm 39.
So I just wanted to see the range of people in the
39.
industry.
This lady was
11 years.
11 and she was here for
18 years.
18 and going. My name is Ernest Williams. I am the delegate, Appalachian delegate for the union. My problem is that we get a green cane incentive when the canes don't cut. But most of the time, the rate that I have to crop over, long time I have to crop over. We usually get it before crop over. But I have to crop over now. They give me this green cane incentive all done in October, November. When you need it early. Because we got a lot of school things in September and things. That's the time that we really need this green cane incentive, and that's the time that we just get it. We just get it long time after, like they just don't remember we. Everything start down here, you know. Potato, yam, carrots, everything start down here. And they square we down. You understand? But everything start here. We get discriminated. Even the children at school, we let children at school. They stop, look, your mother just work in the field. But I'm proud of what others do. Proud of what others do. And they're doing it for 18, going 19 years. And it ain't bothering me. And honest. Because I got my bills to pay. And it's only my one at my house that working. And I got my bills to pay. It's my son that's working the crop sometimes. But I got all my bills to pay. And I'm proud of what he does do. Definitely.
And we would like someone to do something about these people that going in canes and cutting the canes, selling it in town, and then
And the police ain't doing
the authority
about it.
not doing anything about
Nothing
it.
at all about it.
We need something to be done about it.
And if you tell them about, if you run them up the cane ground, they come and
Burn the cane. And then
they burn the cane. And they burn
exactly.
the cane incentive, because we only get green cane incentive if the canes cut green.
And then we need also to the people that selling the potatoes, we plant the potatoes. Not just us, not just Barbados Farm. We're talking about I go in generally. People that plant the food and so on. When we call them nighttime farmers, go in the ground and they steal these things. Yeah, nighttime farmers. When they go in the ground and steal these things and they get caught, something they just a slap on the wrist, a little fine, and they back out doing the same thing again. And that is very hard. It's hard to be in the sun, working.
They got them steal from all over the ground.
Yeah.
You got to try to figure out
it's
how
very
much
hard.
Because they got to make sure that you get the ground come back.
Very, very hard.
You understand? And it ain't easy to get it though.
One of the reasons why people have brought you here, I don't want only to be talking. I want you to hear the people directly. And week by week, I want you to hear the people. And I hope that you don't only carry our story. I hope there are multiple stories here for you all to carry. Because we need the people of Barbados to talk. I am only the vessel through which they can talk. And I will help structure the argument and look at the policies, but I want the people to talk. And that's the truth. So I ask you to come with us every Thursday that we're going. As I said, it may not be every single Thursday because you got crop over and other things. And we may have to be out of the island for whatever reason, but most Thursdays we're going to be out. All right?
And please.
And I challenge one of the journalists to keep a journal. Because out of this journal can come a book.
You don't get the money.
That's my challenge to you.
My only challenge to you as the alternative government is to please stay in touch with the people.
I pledge